October 6, 1973.
Who is it? Oh no.
A French star crashed in an accident that shouldn't have happened. What the three-time world champion saw left him frozen.
But it was a terrible, terrible show. I've never seen the like.
But that was only the beginning. What happened next changed Formula One forever. Watkins Glen, 1973, the penultimate race of the season. Tyrrell was dominating, and Jackie Stewart was on the verge of clinching his third world title. But that weekend wasn't about him. It was about the future. What do I mean? His teammate, Francois Cevert. More than just a rising talent, he was Jackie's closest friend in the paddock. Stewart first noticed Francois in Formula 2. Seeing him race for the first time, he said, "This boy is someone to watch." That was the moment that changed Cevert's life, because a genuine friendship grew between him and Jackie. Soon, the question wasn't if he'd join Stewart, but when. And that moment came in 1970. After Tyrrell driver Johnny Servo's Gavin retired following a serious accident, the team needed a replacement. The top candidate, Francois Cevert. Not only was he Jackie's close friend, he also came with backing from French sponsors. That made him an easy target in the paddock. Alf's golden boy, just a pretty face. But Cevert didn't care, and Stewart never doubted him.
Jackie did all my education, Jackie Stewart. When I arrived in the team, I was a mad driver. I was driving like hell. I was not thinking enough to what I was doing, and Jackie stopped all that and teach me how you must analyze a car, how you must think when you are driving, what kind of vision you must have. He did all my education.
What they had was more than a typical teammate bond. It was like a bond between an older and younger brother.
We just were a total unit. It was great.
You fancy a game?
Yes. Got my bat.
A good one.
A good one.
Okay.
They spent time together off the track, lived together, and Francois became.
He was part of the Stewart family.
For the next 3 years, Francois studied relentlessly under Jackie.
You would think that Jackie teaching me everything he knows, I will become another Jackie Stewart.
Peut-être.
Well, but for the moment I'm far to be as good as Jackie Stewart.
By 1973, the results spoke for themselves. 6 podiums and raw, undeniable speed. And most importantly, Jackie was set to retire at the end of the season. The future was clear. This team would become Cevert's. This wasn't just a personal turning point. It was a moment of truth for all of France. Despite its passion for racing, the country had never produced a Formula One world champion. Francois was ready to change that.
He was certainly ready to be the #1 driver, and that was the whole plan.
So, we come to the qualifying round of 1973. Just before heading out, Cevert turned to his mechanic and said, "Today is my day." Why? It was October 6. He was driving the Tyrrell number 6 car, chassis 006 with engine number 66. And indeed, Francois wasn't just driving on the track, he was flying. While most drivers, including Stewart, took the fast S-curves in 4th gear, Cevert dropped to 3rd. This gave him more revs and explosive acceleration out of the corners. He was chasing every last fraction of a second. Then, he pulled into the pits before his final run.
He looked up at me. I'd got to the pits by that time and I'd got all my books out and everything. And he just looked up and he goes like that, and before he put his visor down, and he goes...
Francois returned to the track, and as he approached turn 3...
Who is it? Oh no. How bad is it?
During the second impact, the Armco barrier split like a blade. It tore the car and Cevert in half. It was impossible to save him. Jody Scheckter and Mike Halewood were the first to arrive. Jackie Stewart came moments later, but they held him back. They couldn't let him see what had happened to his teammate, his friend.
But it was a terrible, terrible show. I've never seen the like.
There was only one question. Why? Cevert had gone for third gear to stay in the power band, to squeeze every last tenth through the S's. But when the car let go, it was already too late. It struck the barrier on one side, then shot across the track. But it wasn't just the impact. The Armco wasn't joined properly. The sections peeled apart like paper, and what should have saved him ended up destroying him. When Jackie got out of the car, he said he would never race again. But later that day, practice resumed and he was back on track. What has changed? I went out on the track in the afternoon to prove to the mechanics that it wasn't their fault. Then he parked the car and left. He never started his 100th Grand Prix, but it didn't matter because he had lost his friend, his younger brother.
I think the major reason is that I've retired from my family, for the children and for Helen, because I think that I've been a racing driver long enough.
But as reports of his death spread around the world, a strange story surfaced, out of place in the paddock, but hard to forget. So, what was the story? Francois' girlfriend, Van Milan, revealed a secret she'd kept for years. As a young woman, she had once gone to a psychic with her mother. During that visit, the psychic looked at her and said, "Your marriage won't last. You'll meet a young man who will leave a deep mark on your life. You'll be very happy. I can even see his blue eyes. I can see the sea." It was nonsense she had long forgotten. But 5 years later, Van met Francois, a man with blue eyes standing by the sea. She couldn't believe it, so she went back to the psychic. "You've found him, but something's wrong. I see a broken machine with wheels, but no body. A race car. He wants to be a driver. I see a brilliant career. You'll be happy, but you won't be able to hold on to him. He won't celebrate his 30th birthday." When Van told Cevert about this, "That woman's crazy. My career won't separate us." But something changed, and he went to a psychic himself.
Asked the clairvoyant how he would do, and she said he would go on to great fame and fortune, but that he wouldn't live to be 30. And he'd sort of brushed it off to friends and to his girlfriend, saying, "Oh, it's no problem, I'll be world champion before I'm 30.
He was 5 months away from his 30th birthday. Many people mourn Francois, but only one truly took action: Jackie Stewart. He turned his friend into a symbol of what was gone and what could still be lost. Immediately after retiring, Jackie focused on one thing: driver safety. But before he could make a difference, another tragedy struck. A rookie driver, Helmut Koenig, was involved in a horrific crash during only his second Formula One race. Helmut was just 25 when he was killed, exactly 1 year after Francois, on the same track and from the same cause. The barriers. Those same outdated barriers, two thin strips of reinforced steel stacked one above the other, and anyone who understood the forces involved knew the truth. It was just a facade. Koenig proved it with his life. When his car crashed into the barrier, the metal broke. However, the lower rail bent, but the upper one didn't. Therefore, Koenig's car slipped under the upper beam. The result was catastrophic, with one of the most violent accidents happening on this track for the second year in a row. Two young drivers, the same result. Now, everyone knew it wasn't just dangerous, it was a failure, and something had to change in Formula One. Jackie Stewart became the driving force behind change. At first, his efforts were local. After the accidents at Watkins Glen, he pushed for the addition of chicanes to slow down the dangerous S-bends. This set an example for other tracks, which began to change their configurations, reducing speeds in critical areas. But the real issue was still the barriers. Helmut Koenig's death in 1974 wasn't an isolated case. Just weeks earlier, during testing in South Africa, Peter Revson had also been killed, once again due to barrier failure. Just imagine the outrage if that happened today. After that, Stewart demanded real changes. The Armco barriers had to be installed properly, strong, secure, and consistent. No more accidents like those that led to the deaths of 3 drivers. But even now, drivers treat them with caution. Fortunately, there's now the halo, which can save drivers. Stewart didn't stop there. He started asking questions that no one wanted to answer. Why weren't the medics trained? Why wasn't there a proper evacuation plan? He supported the move to full-face helmets and pushed for better trackside medical care, real doctors, ambulances, helicopters on standby. Eventually, the FIA brought in Professor Sid Watkins to oversee it all. Next, the design of the car changed. Stronger bodies, better fuel systems. At first, people were critical of the changes, but gradually, the sport began to listen. None of this happened overnight, and not everyone agreed with him. Some drivers thought he was being too cautious, but Stewart had been in too many crashes and lost too many friends to keep quiet. Racing was still dangerous, but thanks to Stewart, he was no longer reckless.
I think I'd like Francois to be remembered to be the glamorous character he was, the womanizer that he was, the racing driver that he was, the pianist that he was, the flavour of life that he enjoyed. He was an awful happy man all the way along.